The forest was alive with color, a living mosaic of greens, golds, and browns, each leaf catching the light differently as the sun moved across the sky. Among the branches and vines lived a small creature whose life depended entirely on perception, one whose survival was shaped by the art of adaptation. A chameleon. Its eyes moved independently, scanning the forest for both opportunity and threat. Tiny insects crawled across leaves and bark, and the chameleon observed each with precision, judging their movement, their shape, their threat, or potential for nourishment. Every decision required awareness. Every movement could mean safety or peril. The chameleon's most remarkable skill, however, was not in its eyesight, but in its skin. With careful control, it could shift color at will, blending seamlessly with the green of leaves, the brown of branches, or the mottled gray of bark. To a casual observer, it was invisible, yet it was never truly hiding. Its adaptation was a tool, a strategy, a way to survive and thrive in a world that was constantly changing. For much of its life, the chameleon had relied on this gift. When predators passed by, it changed its hue. When insects wandered too close, it adjusted its pattern and waited silently. When the sun shifted, it adopted tones that reflected the light, remaining comfortable and camouflaged. Every adjustment was deliberate, every shift a decision. But as the seasons passed, the chameleon noticed a subtle change in the forest around it. Leaves that had once provided perfect cover began to dry, turning golden and brittle. Branches swayed differently as the wind carried unusual storms. The forest was changing, as it always did. Yet the chameleon felt a new challenge rising within this familiar rhythm. It realized that blending and alone was no longer sufficient. Survival required more than just hiding. It required discernment, timing, and the courage to make choices that aligned with its own needs rather than the expectations of others. The chameleon watched a colony of ants marching along the forest floor. Each carried a crumb, a leaf, a seed, and each moved with tireless focus, entirely dedicated to the colony's needs. The chameleon understood their work, admired their persistence, yet felt a quiet difference. The ants had no choice. Their purpose was collective. The chameleon, however, had both skill and autonomy. Its gift of adaptation was also a test, to know when to conform and when to assert its individuality. Days passed. The chameleon began to experiment, testing the boundaries of its environment. When it was safe, it allowed a flash of brighter color to show, unexpected stripes of gold or splashes of red that drew the eye, not to conceal but to express. It discovered that small bursts of visibility did not necessarily mean danger. Rather, they were opportunities to explore its presence in the forest. Yet with this exploration came risk. Predators noticed the changes. A bird perched nearby, its sharp eyes recognizing a sudden hue that stood out. The chameleon froze, heart thrumming, and then slowly adjusted back to the muted green of the surrounding leaves. Its survival depended not on fear alone, but on the wisdom to shift at the precise moment, to blend while retaining awareness of its individuality. The forest, in turn, became a mirror of the chameleon's journey. Storms tested the resilience of leaves and branches. Rain fell hard and sudden, washing the forest floor and reshaping the paths of the creatures below. Insects hurried to shelter. Birds adjusted their flight. And through it all, the chameleon remained poised, learning when to bend, when to reveal, and when to simply observe. Over time, the chameleon realized a subtle truth. Adapting to the environment did not require losing oneself. It could change colors, shift patterns, and blend into the forest, but it could also choose when to shine, when to stand out, and when to claim space for its own growth. Its survival was not measured by invisibility alone, but by the balance of adaptation and authenticity. One day, As the sun set in deep shades of orange and violet, the chameleon paused on a high branch overlooking the forest canopy. Below, life unfolded in perpetual motion. The ants marched on. The birds flitted from tree to tree. The wind whispered secrets across the leaves. And the chameleon, for the first time, allowed itself to display a vivid combination of emerald, gold, and crimson, a reflection of both its environment and its own inner colors. In that moment, it understood that true wisdom lay not in mere survival, but in the art of measured adaptation. To exist in the world, it must respond to challenges presented. To thrive, it must also honor its own essence. The colors it bore were not just camouflage, they were a decoration. One could belong without losing identity, adapt without surrendering integrity, and navigate change without forsaking oneself. As seasons shifted and years passed, the chameleon's mastery grew. It learned that every leaf, every branch, every shadow and beam of light offered information. By observing, adjusting, and choosing, it moved through the forest with grace and confidence. It could appear invisible when danger lurked, radiant when opportunity arose, subtle when quiet was required, and bold when presence mattered. Through the chameleon's journey, the forest also learned. It recognized that survival was not merely about fitting in, but about understanding when to bend and when to assert. The creatures of the forest, in watching, began to see that true harmony came from balance, between conformity and individuality, between vigilance and expression, between observation and action. And so the chameleon thrived. Each day it carried the wisdom of adaptation, flexibility, awareness, patience, and self-knowledge. Every shift in color became a lesson in life, a gentle reminder that survival and authenticity are not opposed but intertwined. Through its quiet presence, it taught a truth far deeper than mere concealment, that to navigate the world successfully, one must learn to flow with change while remaining rooted in the core of who one is. The forest, ever-changing, continued to offer both challenges and opportunities. Storms came and went. Predators hunted. Branches broke and leaves fell. Yet the chameleon endured, thriving through the mastery of its subtle art. And in its journey, it carried a simple but profound message. Adaptation does not mean surrender. Change does not require losing oneself. True wisdom comes from knowing when to blend and when to shine.